Hey, good morning, everyone. Grace and peace. My name is Paul Dezay, and welcome to Find the Intersection. Today, we are going to be looking at Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 to 13. Isaiah 6, 1 to 13. Now, this passage is one that we read on Trinity Sunday. And so this is a more familiar passage in the lectionary. But we encounter it here on the fifth week of Epiphany. And so we're going to jump in there. If you haven't read this passage yet, I encourage you to do so. Some good Bible translations that I use is the New Revised Standard Version, Hey Barry, and the Common English Bible, and the New Living Translation. Those are all decent translations. I mean, no translation is perfect, but they're good translations. So when you read in a couple, you get a more well-rounded understanding. All right, so let's jump into Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 to 13. The context here is King Uzziah has died, and he died because of leprosy that he contracted because he burned incense, which was the role of the priest, not the king. So he kind of violated some of the priestly rules that were laid down. He ended up contracting leprosy, and he died. And so this passage is the calling of Isaiah the prophet. So that's what we're getting into today. A few things that jumped out to me was the mention of a repetitive mention of holy, 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 that we read in the beginning. In fact, the first few verses kind of set the context to who this God is. That is, Isaiah is having in a vision or a dream, and he is holy, he's separate, he is different. That's what that word holy means. And so that is important for us as we see Isaiah's reaction in a second, that he definitely is encountering the holiness of God, and it floors him. All right, so first we see the holiness of God, and then the second thing is the calling of Isaiah. And the pattern here is Isaiah, and this kind of follows through with what we talked about yesterday with Paul, and on Monday with the calling of the disciples, is there's some protest, there's fear, there's confession, and then there's purification. And so we see the angels flying and touching the coal to his lips. Before that, he says, I'm doomed. So there's this pattern that is gone through, and it's a pattern that we see in Moses and several other characters within Scripture, is when God calls, we don't feel worthy of it. I mean, I don't feel worthy of my calling. I'm just a broken dude, but God uses broken people to do amazing things because he receives the glory. And so we see that in Isaiah too. The calling of Isaiah is this pattern of, I can't do this. There's no way. But yet God provides purification. God provides what is needed. And so that's the calling. And then the response, who will I send? And Isaiah says, here I am, send me, Lord. I'll go. And so Isaiah is willing to leave what he is used to, is willing to leave his comfort zone to go and do what God has called him to do. Isaiah was created for this. This is his life's mission. This is his purpose. And it's not going to be easy. And the last half of that chapter speaks to the reception that he's going to encounter when he speaks truth into the powers that, aren't really wanting to hear it. So for me, as I apply this passage to my life, I'm kind of re-examining my own calling. And am I willing to go again, to leave my comfort zone, to leave the things that I'm used to and find security in, to do what God's asked me to do? And so I encourage you to examine your calling as well. So those are some things that I got out of this passage. Amazing, amazing text. There's so much there, so much detail that could be analyzed. So what stood out to you in this passage? So if you would share your thoughts in the comments below, let's learn from each other. I'm really anxious to hear what God spoke to you about in this passage. And then we'll be back tomorrow with the Psalm, and then on Friday for the intersection to try to discover the themes that run through these four passages this week. Hey, grace and peace, everyone. Take care.